So make sure that that stud goes in. This one's son of a... Okay, about to put together the 350 for FrankenNova. It is a 4-bolt main 350 block. It's been bored 60 over. I've got some Speed Pro Power Forge pistons, some Scat connecting rods, the I-beam ones, the mid-grade I-beam connecting rods, not the 7/16 bolt ones, but the cap screw instead of the through bolt. So a little bit of an upgrade of the base model, the regular Scat rod. It's got an Eagle cast steel crank, and yeah, so we're going to put this together. I've got to get the rest of the piston rings on the pistons. I've already gapped all my rings. I've already put the rods on the pistons, and I put my little circle clips in there. So we're going to get the rings on all the pistons, get the crank installed, and start putting the rest of it together. Okay, so time to put the main bearings in. Now, main bearing kit, I always put the rear in first, and it says upper bearing. You got to remember, when the block's upside down, the upper bearing is the one that goes in the block. Lower bearing is the one that goes in the cap. So I'm going to put all my lower bearings in, and then we can set the crankshaft in there, and it's already been cleaned and washed and checked. Okay. So I got my rear main seal installed, and you want to install that rear main seal just offset a little bit so that the parting line on the cap is not the same as a seal. It'll keep you from having a leak right there. Now I'll put a little bit of assembly lube on my bearings. I put my rear main on first, put some assembly lube on that, make sure I've got my rear seal pointing in the right direction. And offset about the same as the other one. And you want to make sure that your bolts are cleaned up, and you put some assembly lube on those, or motor oil. I use a little bit of assembly lube. Motor oil might be better, but okay, so I'm ready to torque everything down. I've got all my threads oiled up. I had two bolts that I had to actually chase the threads on this one and this one, get them cleaned up a little bit. They were a little off. And now we're going to go 70 on the inner bolts, 65 on the outer. I'm going to do it in steps. Start with 35. Okay, I'm going to put my first rod and piston in, and I have never used this type of ring compressor before, so we're going to try it out, see how it works. So first I want to put some oil in the cylinder. I'll put a little oil on the piston and rings, and let me double check that my rings are oriented like I want them. Top is there, second is there, oil ring is there and there. Yep. I'm not sure I like this ring compressor. I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe I do. Let's see here. Get some of my rods out of the way. All right, that ring compressor is pretty good. So I finally got the timing gear on here, tightened down right. I had to go get some cam bolts and a cam retainer plate and put some Loctite on those, got those tightened down. Now I can put the timing cover on. Comp cam's 292H, got 501 lift, 244 at 50. we'll see how it does. I've run this cam before and had pretty good experience with it. So let's get the timing cover on and the balancer, and then get our oil pan on. Alright, so first I got to put the front seal in. And excuse my messy workbench. I haven't had a lot of time for filming lately, so I'm not going to spend my little bit of time trying to clean up, even though it's killing me. Always put a little bit of sealer on your front seal. Because you don't want this thing to leak. Pulling a timing cover off after the engine is in sucks. Alright, going to use my seal driver to put this in, I hope. There we go. Alright, I always put a little bit of RTV all the way around it first. A little thin layer. Alright, I found my balancer install kit, so now I'm going to get this balancer on there. What I've got here is a Melling M55HV, which is a high volume oil pump. Always make sure that you take the stock oil pump drive rod, throw it away, and get you a rod with a steel sleeve on it, because if that little plastic one breaks and things wobble around, you'll have a bad day. Always put it in before you put your pump on, because once you get the engine in the car and the oil pan on, if you forget that rod, you're going to be pissed off. Ask me how I know that. And I always use an oil pump stud. That way I can make sure I'm not hitting the bearing. If you put a bolt through the oil pump in here and you hit the back of your thrust bearing, or your rear main bearing, you can damage the bearing, push it in, and then you won't be able to rotate the engine. You'll have all kind of issues. So make sure that that stud goes in. This one's son of a bitch. Okay, so where were we? Oh yeah. Make sure you have a oil pump rod with a sleeve on it. I've got my Melling high volume pump. I've got my stud screwed in, finger tight. This will move down when you turn the motor over, no biggie. Put that on there. Good to go. Now what you want to do is you want to measure your pump pickup screen, the depth of it, and this one is right at 7 7/8 of an inch. Then you want to take your oil pans you're going to use, and this is a Moroso zinc coated oil pan. Where'd it go? There it is. You want to take that and measure the depth of your pan. Wrong end. and it is right at 8 1/8. So I've got a 1/4 inch plus whatever the gasket will give me. So I'll have about 3/8 of an inch off the bottom, which is just about right. You don't want to have too much there. You'll cavitate. Well, I guess you'll have a problem. And probably the wrong word. Anyway, if you have too much gap, you'll cavitate. If you have too small of a gap, you're going to have a problem getting oil through the pump. All right, so when I do my oil pan gasket, I put a little dab down in there, little dab down in there, and then I run a little bit across there, not a whole lot, but what I'll do is I'll get it and spread it out to where I got enough for this thing to stick. Because I hate oil leaks. And the front is real bad about leaking. Now I go down each side just enough to make the gasket stick. I go around the dipstick hole. Make sure I got plenty down here at the end that's going to be a leak. And if you end up with a passenger side dipstick block like this one is, which has been nothing but a pain, trying to find a good oil pan that was in stock, gaskets, every pickup for that oil pan, everything about it has been a pain in the butt. Alright, so I've got my new Moroso oil pan. I've got some RTV on it. Got all that done. And I know they make a one-piece gasket for this, and I'm all for that, but nobody had one in stock with the passenger side dipstick because those are different. Okay, I'm going to check my piston and valve clearance. Now I've got modeling clay in the valve reliefs, and I've got my gasket on. I've got a solid lifter on the intake valve because I only have one solid lifter. And I do that because the hydraulic lifter will move on you a little bit, and it's if it's not pumped up. So I'm going to snug the head down just a little bit, rotate it over a couple of turns, and then come back and see what my modeling clay looks like. Alright, I am going to try this again because earlier, apparently, I did not have a solid lifter like I thought I had. So I grabbed one, a hydraulic one, and made it a solid lifter, so now it won't move the plunger, and I know it'll go it'll rotate all the way, and it'll actually lift the valve all the way instead of the lifter going in. So got this at zero lash, got my head snugged down just a little bit with the gasket on, so I know that the distance is right, and I'm going to roll it over a few times. And the reason I do it more than once, if I just go around once, the intake valve never opens. One crank rotation. If I go twice, the intake valve will open. So I'll probably go 4 times. That way I know that the intake valve opened twice, and I get a good imprint. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. now let's pull the head off. Let's see here. Oh, well, I got my impression. All right, what I'm going to try to do here is cut half of this across without messing up the depth of it. And it's not working real well. And then on the profile, you can see how close you're. We'll try to get you in there a little closer. On the profile, you can see how far the valve is. A clean. You try to get in here, and I've got a little bit of a spot where the razor blade affected but it didn't affect the depth. So now what I want to do is I want to check the depth. I'm at about 150 thousandths. So I think I've got plenty of way more than 1/8 of an inch. So yeah, I've got plenty of valve clearance. All right. So I've got my head gasket clean. Got everything clean. Got my heads cleaned. Piston and valve clearance is checked. And I was pretty sure I didn't need to really check it because it's a small cam. And I've used this cam before and not had any issues. When you're putting this intake on, you want to put a little bit of RTV around your water ports. You want to put you a 1/4 inch thick, at least, bead, and I ran out my other tube. You want to put a nice thick bead of RTV on the front and the back. Make sure you don't get any in your oil hole back here. Right. Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video. The end cut off abruptly because the camera stopped recording and I didn't know it, and I didn't, I'd already put the engine in the car before I realized it. So, engine's in the car now, getting ready to fire it up, and sorry I haven't posted in about a month. Work's been crazy, and I haven't had too much time to get out here and work. I've had some time, and I filmed a bunch of stuff. I was trying to get a few videos ahead. I'm working on that. And anyway, I'm back. Videos coming soon of that thing running. I've got a lot of progress. I'm not going to show it to you tonight, but it's come a long way since that engine was put together. So the 69 Grudge car, the 307 is almost done at the machine shop. Had to wait forever to get some parts for it, and we're working on that. Craig's working on the Dart. Everything's going ahead. It's just way slower than we thought, but it's okay. We're still here. Subscribe while you're here, hit the like button, and leave me a comment. I try to answer everybody. I'll see you next video. Thanks.